All right, lug nuts. Today, or shall I say in this video, because I'm filming a bunch of videos all at the same time. Um, in this video, we're going to start taking apart this dashboard because we got a new Dakota Digital dashboard to go in here to replace all of these old gauges. So we're going to get rid of this radio. We're going to get rid of all these old analog gauges, and the new one will wire into the CAN bus system for the LS motors. So that you get accurate readings. You should get temperature, fuel, oil pressure. You should get all that stuff all in simple, easy to read digital gauges. So let's take this thing apart. Now, I'm very familiar with taking these dashboards apart. I used to work in the car audio industry back when, well, not this one in particular was new, but back when we were still putting radios in these things because people still had them and drove them all the time. So, very familiar with pulling these apart. Good news is we did get a whole new dash bezel as well to go along with our nice new instrument cluster. Yeah. So we don't really have to worry about saving this one. Get this old nasty radio out of here. All right, dash bezel out of the way. All right, so now these things, we'll have to see if we can fix the shifter slide, the shift indicator. So let's get a, what appears to be, I don't even think that's a 1/4 inch, but I'm going to try to get the piece that comes out of there. That looks like that's a regular, been replaced with. All right, we got our 1/4 inch drive. Let's see. Oh, it is 1/4 inch. Let's just go ahead and keep taking our quarters out. And if we got to pull it all out a piece at a time, we'll pull it all out a piece at a time. Somebody put some aftermarket gauges down here just for basic vitals, voltage, temperature, stuff like that. So that's cool. That all comes out in pieces. Oh. And this is not the most comfortable seating in here. We'll save these. These gauges look to be in pretty good shape. We got us another square body on the premises. Maybe these might come in handy. Oh, all right. Gauges. Now this one is probably attached to a, yeah, that one's still attached to the speedo cable. But maybe we can see what we got holding us in over here. Oh, there we go. Let's see if we're getting anywhere here. And just clear this one little lip. Let's get our little pry bar out and see. All right, let's see if we can very gently get this up over this lid. There we go. All right, so we got some clips back here. Speedo cable came loose. Got that clip loose. Oh. Pop some of these light fixtures out and ta-da. There we go. So let's go ahead before we do anything crazy. Let's put this kind of back together again. Because we don't want to lose these parts. And we will save this cluster. Like I said, we do have some other square bodies, or at least one other square body on the property. And that is Air Force One that I have outside. You may have seen it in the background. And it's going to be a custom truck when all's said and done. If I ever actually get around to doing it. I will, one day. You know, like I said before, I've said it before and I'll say it again. I have ADHD. Automotive Dismantling and Hoarding Disorder. All right, so that's back in together. And that's how that dashboard comes out. Let's go take a look at the Dakota Digital stuff, shall we? Well, good morning, lug nuts. We are back. It's a few days later. When last you saw me, I was taking out the instrument cluster so we could install our brand new Dakota Digital dashboard. Trying to get all kind of bring this thing updated and everything else like that. So one of the things I did off camera was try to kind of familiarize myself. I've never installed one of these things before. So I kind of wanted to familiarize myself with it before I made a complete fool out of myself in front of you guys. So what I did was I went ahead and I pulled power and ground. I got power out of the fuse box, out of the ignition, and you want complete ignition and everything else like that while cranking and everything. So I also, there is a cool little grounding post in here that comes from the factory. So I got power and ground to it. One of the cool things that Dakota Digital does, and just so you know, I am not sponsored by Dakota Digital. I bought this full price, full tilt boogie. So one of the cool things they do is if you have an LS motor, which this has a 6-liter LS in it, you can use the CAN bus system from the OBD port to get a lot of information without having to run independent sensors. You're supposed to be able to get RPM, you might be able to get speed, what gear the transmission is in, your voltage, or you could get oil pressure, water temperature, and fuel. Now, it does require some programming on your part, which appears to be pretty simple. But in order to do that, you have to order a separate part, which is called a BMI or BIM-01-2, which is the one for the LSs. So I did that, got it plugged in. I wasn't getting oil pressure. Now, I didn't get into programming, but the people who owned this before me had a group of gauges down here: water, voltage, and oil pressure. Well, their oil pressure was a hard line oil pressure that went down to, the side of the block. Now, I will tell you that the Dakota Digital stuff comes with temperature sender, speed sensor sender, and an oil pressure sender. I did go ahead and pull out the old hard line and installed the oil pressure sender into the side of the block and ran the wire up. It's very easy. It plugs in and comes in and then just wires in right here. All of this stuff is very, very clearly marked. So what you're seeing right now is a mess. There's a bunch of wires everywhere. Some of these don't belong here. Some of these are previous wires that were in here. But what you're seeing coming out of the dash and stuff like that is wiring for the instrument cluster. So I will clean all this up before I put it all back. But what we managed to do was we managed to get, we have RPM, we have voltage, we don't have fuel. Water is showing 32 degrees, so I'm not certain that that is programmed properly. We were getting RPM, and I don't know that we're getting the gear selection just yet. So, but once again, it's all set up, and I got the VFD series, the VFD3, which is the full digital. You can get sweeping gauges, you can get all kinds of stuff. So today we're going to work on programming and see what we can bring back up. And we're going to see what other external sensors we're going to need for fuel, for water, and then gear selection, hopefully. The other thing is you have to tie into the original instrument cluster for turn signals. So we will go from there. They have all of these inputs that you can grab and get from the instrument cluster. So that being said, let's get to work. So first things we're going to do is we're going to plug in this programmer. And then we're going to go through the instructions. Some of this may be a little bit boring. So we'll just kind of work through it. Now, they give you this switch with a 1 and a 2 that gets you into the programming. So for now, we're going to go ahead and turn everything off. And we're going to figure out where this is going to go. Okay, blue with white goes to adjust send. Black. Actually, hold on. Green or white goes to switch negative. Goes to switch 2. Red goes to switch 1. That would mean black goes to adjust negative. So let's put her together. Where's our little bitty screwdriver? All right, so now our switch is wired up. So we should be able to get into the programming section, which is this super cool little quick start guide. All right, so we are going to get into this system. Where's our switch? So we need to hold switch 1. I'm going to turn this on, and we go into set. Oil. We know we got oil. We don't need that one. Fuel. Press and hold. Sender. Custom. Test. Done. Custom. Set. 33, 66, 99. Fail. Test. Done. Sender. Custom. Test. Okay, so we're at set. Sender. Custom. Test. Done. Sender. All right, now we can turn this off. Let's turn it back on. Okay, so our fuel is still doing that. We're getting an error over here. Fuel is still blinking. Oil pressure's coming up. Water temperature still says 32 and our fuel is blinking. RPMs are working. .36 pounds of fuel pressure. Voltage is good. And the very worst case comes to worst is we can always just run sensors and plug everything in. So let's let this run for a little bit and see if our water temperature changes. All right, lug nuts. Well, after some programming and everything else, we're getting a couple of errors. We're getting fuel error. It's just blinking 0. Water is at 32 degrees, which I'm pretty sure that it's not frozen. And then the only other problem that I can see so far, I haven't been able to check the speedometer, but we're getting a gearing error, which means that it's not reading what gear the transmission is in. So that could be in the wiring from when the original swap was done or what. So we're going to have to start doing some research. First things first is I want to get the fuel working and the water working. So water, we're going to go ahead and put a sensor in the side of the block and run it in, just like we did with the fuel. No big deal. I'm sorry, with the oil pressure, no big deal. And then we're going to figure out where, get up underneath the truck and track the fuel sending unit wire up, and we'll go from there. So we'll check back in a few. All right, now we have made a mess out of the shop floor, but we now have our water temperature sender wired in. And we are going to power it up. Now, mind you, we're going to have to go back in and reprogram because we set it up to get its water temperature information from the bus system, which we were having an issue with. All right, so now we go back to our switch. Hold. We're in setup, speed, tack, volt, water. Press and hold. And turn it back off. And let's turn it back on. Water still shows 32 degrees. And it shouldn't be 32 degrees. Back to the drawing board. All right. One more sensor down. We are reading 96 degrees in water temperature. We are back up the way that we need to. We got 35 pounds of oil pressure, 36. We got 14.2 volts. So the next thing is the fuel gauge. We're going to start running it and run it down and track it and see what's going on now that we know that all that's working. All right, lug nuts. Good news, good news, good news. After a little bit of tracking and tracing, I had to track the wire that comes up from the sender on the fuel system. Found it under the hood, spliced into it, brought it in, tied it in here, had to tie the ground in, and then go through a little bit of programming on here. And now it shows we have just under 1/4 of a tank of fuel. Perfect. So now we have all of our gauges working. We got to check our speed. We can't really do that right now. So we'll have to check that a little bit later. Until then, good news is it looks like this thing is about ready to go back in the dashboard. All right, so now we have all of those gauges working. We've got all of that set up. Now we have to grab our lights, our turn signals, our, what all is on here. High beams, left, right, and our 4x4 indicators. So I pulled up wire color codes for this dashboard. So what we're going to do is we're going to just try to grab some of this stuff. So light green is going to be our headlights and our high beams. And we're going to test all of this as we go. Let's grab us a ground with our ye old test light. All right, so we have our test light. So turn our headlights on. And we know that headlights should be light green, headlights, high beams. So we have a light green right here. Let's see. All right, so that goes out, and that is there. So high beams are positive. Oh, hold on now. Did we? Are those? Let's see what we got for lights. Got to fix some lights. But, so we had our high beams on. So that means that it sends positive down this light green wire when we have the high beams. We know that one's good. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of do these one at a time. Now I have with me, I have a 4-conductor wire. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to, because this is just lights, nothing significant, no major voltage or anything like that. These are all kind of low voltage. I say low voltage, they're 12 volts, but they're low amperage wires. I'm going to use these 4 for the individual signals that we need. So we have our connectors here. All right. Now I'm going to cut these back a little bit in case anybody ever decides to go back and reconnect this stuff. I don't doubt anybody ever will, but you know, you never want to cut a connector, cut a wire off a connector right up next to the connector. I mean, it just makes it impossible later on to go backwards. And, these colors may not match up exactly, but when possible, and try to match them up. We'll take our green here, and we go in, check engine, brake, high beam, number 3. And I'm just going to do these one at a time, just for simplicity's sake, so we don't get confused on what we're doing here. All right, so there's high beams. Next one is left turn signal. And left-hand turn signal is a light blue. So we got a couple of light blues here, but we got 2 of these, or we got a couple of blues. We got 2 of them right here next to each other. So let's turn this on. Left turn signal. And there it is. Light blue, which means that right turn is going to be dark blue. Little high beam indicator works. All right, so now let's grab light blue is left. Now, this thing has separate little inputs down here, and I'm not certain which one is which. So we may not get the same indicators. We're going to try the left one, and if it doesn't work, then we have these extra little pigtails that they sent that plug into these 2 indicators down here. So, which may wind up being our left and right hand turn signals. And you may have noticed Safety Man Goose is not out in the shop with us today. He has been trying to run off a little bit. He's not been staying very well in the shop. So we got to work on that. And with me trying to shoot videos and work on wiring and making a mess, I just didn't want to try to keep track of him. So, all right, so we used white for our left-hand turn signal. Let's see what happens if we do it this way. Because if we don't, if it doesn't do anything, then we can always tie in our pigtails. All right, so let's turn her on. Oh, we got an indicator right here. Pretty cool. All right, let's continue on. Do the left. Do the right. All right, so there's right. We are in good shape. All right, so this thing supposedly has a 4x4 indicator, but I don't think that our truck actually has an output for that. So we are not going to utilize that one. How about our brake, our emergency brake? Do we have that brake warning light? Tan and white. All right, well, we're just going to trust that it's tan and white because I don't feel like going and getting my meter. Ooh, and look at there, black turned out to be brake. Imagine that. That worked out. Now, one thing that I will tell you, these wire acceptors for Dakota Digital are a little shallow. So you always want to just trim that. Trim the wire going in so that you don't have a bunch of excess wire hanging out. Get that into place. Get our little screwdriver. All right, let's check that and see if that does anything. All right. Oh, it says brake. Brake release comes off. And ladies and gentlemen, my lug nuts, we have a wired up dashboard from Dakota Digital. Ready to go. All right, lug nuts, I just went and looked at something really cool. I did get a new bezel for here. And the new bezel has the little left and right arrow indicators down at the bottom for turn signal. And we have the little pigtails with the little green outputs for them. I think that'll be a better look than just having it blinking left and right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wire in those little pigtails so that we get the little green indicators in the factory location. So I'm going to get that done. Well, we have finished wiring in our Dakota Digital instrument cluster. And we've checked all of our functionality and everything else. So now we got to make it pretty. So now we have to kind of clean up our wiring some. So what I want to do is I want to leave some slack. I'm going to take this one, which is kind of long. Brought us a bunch of zip ties. So we are going to get this module in place. And to do that, we're not going to screw it into place. We're not going to do anything serious with it. We're going to zip tie it up back behind this cluster so that if it ever needs to be accessed, it can be accessed. So let's go ahead and move our phone out of the way. Let's go ahead and put our instrument cluster up top because that's the way it's going to load in. And it's not very deep, so you know what? Let's try to clean up some of this wiring first. Let's figure out what's long. Okay, this is long, so you always want to leave a little bit of slack in this stuff so that if you have to get back in here, you can get back in here. Let's go ahead and disconnect the ribbon cable. We know that this switch is going to have to go down and it's going to need to remain accessible. So we're going to end up mounting it under the dash. So now let's kind of try to start cleaning some of this up. Get us a couple of bigger zip ties. I'm going to run them through the mounting ears. All right, so now take our little BIM module and unplug from here. Kind of like we did with our switch. I'm going to put that under there. Cut this tail out of the way. And then this BIM module is going to get tucked in here. We're going to zip tie it into place, just like we did with the other one. All right, everything is tucked away. Now, let's see if we can fit. Well, it goes back. Oh, there we go. Just has to sit in the right spot. All right, let's find us some screws. Let's find us some mounting screws. Here we go. Let's get some light over here so we can see what we're doing. Oh, you know what? I forgot that screws we pulled out of here were the factory screws. One of those. One of those. 3. I think that maybe all we get is 3. So, 3 it is. Let's. Oh, I gotta tell you, this seat bracket I made is really uncomfortable to sit on. Mounting into anything there? Oh, we did. Look at there. She went right in. Cannot see inside there. All right. So before we peel this plastic off, let's double check and make sure everything comes on. Nope. Headlights. Right. Left turn signal. Right turn signal. We got water, we got fuel, we got voltage. All right, we lost our RPM signal. Why did we lose our RPM signal? Well, that's no bueno. Oh, duh. We lost our RPM signal because I don't have our OBD2 plugged in. RPM's back. All right, so all of that works. So now let's test fit. Let's test fit our new dash piece. Wow, this is cool. Except, I think we're in place. I just have to make sure that we grab that dash panel. Oh, what did we do there? Okay, that's going there, that goes there, that's gonna meet up there, that's gonna meet up there. That all goes in good, well, ish. Turn it back on. Oh, that's gonna look good. That's gonna be cool. All right. Pull that. It's like my favorite part of everything. Doing stuff like this. Pull that. That is attached. That is attached. All right. So one of the things that we did get was we got new screws. I got to go find those. All right. We got some chrome screws. Let's go ahead and put this back in place. We're going to start at the bottom to get this figured out. Put these in here about one at a time. Hey, some of these may not go, and we may have to do something a little bit different. We may have to go to the hardware store to get what we need. And we are not going to worry about a radio in this one. We can leave radio up to the buyer. We have another piece. We just need to get these to attach in where they're supposed to go. Let's see if we can get one up here in the top. All right, gonna need longer ones. All right, so those are close. They look good. Let's attach this. All right, lug nuts, here it is. The finished product. Getting it to zoom in. And there it is, the Dakota Digital gauges installed. All right, lug nuts, well that's gonna do it for our dashboard installation. New Dakota Digital gauges, fresh instruments, fresh dash bezel. That's going to do it. And I think it's a big upgrade. It's a lot of, it's a little bit of work, but not terrible. If you have a little understanding of how all this works, electrical stuff and everything else, you ought to be okay. So that being said, guys, I want to go ahead and sign off for today. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We're at 75 subscribers as of this morning. Let's get that pushed to 100. It'd be fantastic. It's another milestone, I think. I've been doing this for about 40 days now, a little bit more than a month, and we've already got 75 subscribers. And God, I love you all, guys. Thank you for the support. Tell your friends. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And as always, lug nuts, keep the rubber side down and the shiny side up.